This Sunday, April the 1st, is the deadline for the government to put new plans in place for supporting children with complicated needs in England. And the minister responsible has told this programme that it is on target.
But we've learned that a third of councils have told the government they can't afford to pay, and there are serious concerns about funding. Jamie Cummin has more.
You've got problems with your housing situation.
Every parent in this room has a child with additional needs. Every parent here believes those needs aren't being met.
You've just had to fight and fight.
I've had to fight and fight and fight and fight and keep on fighting.
Many parents say without the right support, their child has been excluded from school.
On numerous occasions, to the point where I couldn't maintain my job.
You've lost your job.
Yes.
You've lost your home.
Yes.
Because you believe your son wasn't getting the right support.
Completely. Completely.
And there are parents here who say they have paid a heavier price still.
Just ultimately exhausted from years of caring for a child without adequate support, really. I was completely...
You had a breakdown?
Yeah, I had a complete breakdown. Yeah, absolutely. There's no other word for it. I was completely... I was suicidal.
To choose between different courses.
But the system which will be in place come April the 1st was designed to be so much better. Easier for parents, more support for children. Yet every parent is here in Hackney today for legal advice because of problems with the new education, health and care plans. How is it shaping up for April the 1st?
There's real concern that local authorities are simply not going to meet the deadline of 1st of April to transfer children from the old system to the new system. And even where children have been transferred across to the new plans, there's a massive concern about quality. And some of the plans that I've seen have been very rushed and are really no improvement at all.
With a special needs statement, these proposed cuts directly affect me.
There have been protests here in Hackney because of 5% cuts to SEND budgets, with the real risk of more to come. Parents say they are fighting for their children's rights. And it's a fight with you guys.
Well, I'd like to say that actually it's a fight that we want to work with the parents, work with the children on to actually take to government. Hackney Council has seen a 34% increase in the number of children requiring statements, and yet funding is still frozen at levels going back to 2011. That just can't be right.
Thank you so much. Now, the Department for Education has told us that almost a third of local authorities in England have written to them to say they will not be able to pay for their SEND children under a new funding system which comes into force in April.
I have pledged to you that I will continue to look at the statistics to understand why a handful of local authorities are having problems, the minority.
A third of local authorities telling you they cannot meet their obligations is a significant sum. It might not be a majority, but it is a huge number.
Majority of councils are coping. We are investing. We're not cutting. We're investing £6 billion by 2018-19 in special education needs and disabilities.
No cuts for SEN!
There is more money, but there is far, far more demand. Hackney is just one of many organisations which have written to the government to say this is a crisis.
And Jane's here now, so you have a minister there who's quibbling over the, if you like, the terminology, but the reality of this issue is hitting home all over the UK.
It is, yeah. And we're talking about a third of councils that have written to the government saying we can't afford to make our SEND budgets work. We haven't got enough money in the pot. Can I just explain a bit more about that? From April, the government changes the way it's going to give money to local authorities for education. They're going to give money like this. They're going to give money for early years. They're going to give money for the core subjects, and they're going to give money for the high needs block. That's the important bit we're talking about. In the past, local authorities used to be able to rob Peter to pay Paul and move money around to top up this high needs block. It's getting way more difficult from April. So this third of local authorities have written to the government saying we still need to rob Peter to pay Paul because we've got a deficit. Now, just because the other 2/3 didn't write to the government to say this doesn't mean they're not in deficit. Very many are. We've tallied up the deficit of that third of local authorities that have written to government, and the deficit there comes to £160 million. And we're hearing from...
That's for high needs.
That's for the high needs block. We're hearing from places like Hackney who've written to the government saying this is a crisis. Schools in Hull have written to the minister saying we are at breaking point. We've had this letter from the Special Educational Consortium, represents 40 different organisations. They've written to the minister saying children's legal needs aren't being met and local authorities are being pushed to the brink of bankruptcy. We've got an extended interview with the Minister just after 8 o'clock, and as always, we would absolutely love to hear your experience of SEND, because we're keeping across this.
Yeah, of course. Get in touch in the usual way. You can get in touch Twitter, email, of course, Facebook as well. Jane, thanks very much.
Hey, Jane.